Microsoft. We have Ria. Hi, Ria.
Everyone.
And we have Ashton, who's a senior project marketing manager as well. Hi, Ashton.
Hey everyone, good to be here.
Yeah. So we have an amazing event today. They'll be talking about Anypoint Exchange. Um, Please use Q&A button here if you have any questions. That way we should be able to answer all your queries, and also use chat in case you need any additional details, so that I should be able to answer them. After this meetup, we will be posting this recording along with the materials on YouTube channel. So do follow the YouTube channel for more details on this meetup and future meetups as well. And so with that, I would hand off to Ria to introduce and start the session. Thanks, Ria. Over to you.
Perfect, cool. So I can share my screen and we can get started. So I'm Ria. I'm looking forward to spending the next chunk of time talking to you about Anypoint Exchange. I'm currently the product manager for this product, and I've been here on the team and at MuleSoft for just about 3 years now. So we can begin with a quick video that'll set the stage for today's conversation.
Now, the more different players you have in a network, the more those players can build kind of interested subgroups, right? And say, oh, those three are doing something together, and these two are something together, right? So, and this gives such a network even more dynamic, because once you cover all these parts, now suddenly these subgroups can start do interesting things and further rise the value of the network. And in my mind, there's quite a bit of similarity to APIs, right? Where it's the same thing, where you have to keep in mind, what can I do with the APIs that are around?
Wonderful. So with that kind of context in mind, we can jump into the crux of today's presentation. So the power of network effects is largely realized in the world of APIs and application networks. And in essence, this is the core value of an API or a reusable asset. APIs provide ways for users to connect with and access data from systems that we may not have even been aware of prior to this connection. And one question that we can ask ourselves then is, what is a useful set of assets that will allow others to build new things? And how can I access and perhaps even provide these valuable sets of assets to my users? This really hits on that concept of reusability. When you identify these sets of assets that have useful capabilities, you want to be able to bundle them and use them across various business use cases, and you want to move faster. This is really where Anypoint Exchange comes in and the different capabilities and offerings that we provide. So with that in mind, let's move forward and talk more about Exchange and the context of reusability and network effects. So here is our agenda for the rest of today's session. We'll walk through Exchange and highlight the key value prop, different personas and use cases that the product serves, and touch on a bit more high-level details there. We'll then circle back to the concept of reusability and take a more detailed look at the value that this provides with regards to the application network. And finally, we'll do a deep dive into the Exchange feature, which really serves this value. So let's start with an overview of Exchange. Essentially, Exchange can be thought of as a marketplace for digital assets that integrates into your flow of work and helps you discover, produce, and consume reusable assets to accelerate your developer journey. We support over 25 types of reusable assets, including various forms of APIs, automation resources, and integration assets, such as connectors and templates. Exchange sits at the center of the Anypoint platform, which is MuleSoft's key product offering, and complements other capabilities within that broader MuleSoft ecosystem by providing a centralized hub for discovery, shareability, and reuse of assets. It integrates very seamlessly with our different IDEs, such as Anypoint Code Builder and Studio for the development portion, as well as with API Design Center for the design functionality and runtime management for the deployment services. You can also interact with Exchange through API Manager if you want to view and manage various instances, as well as with monitoring and governance for performance and conformance status insights. This connectivity streamlines the entire integration lifecycle, all the way from design to deployment through monitoring. Next, we can take a look at this spotlight video, which kind of hits on some of the key functionality that Exchange provides.
Anypoint Exchange is a curated catalog of reusable assets for integration and automation on Anypoint platform. You can publish, share, discover, learn, and reuse assets within your organization to facilitate collaboration, boost productivity, and promote standards. It helps your developers start quickly on projects and drive the adoption of best practices. In Anypoint Exchange, you can find hundreds of connectors, templates, accelerators, and APIs either from MuleSoft's ecosystem or your organization. Anypoint Exchange makes it easy to discover the right asset for your use case. Based on your permissions, it can search multiple business groups, documentation, tags, custom attributes, and even details from API specification. Once you've found what you need, go ahead and explore the asset easily with the interactive documentation. Here, you can see more information on the asset and its version history with simple clicks. You can even add details like images, API notebooks, and media using the Markdown or the visual editor. With APIs, you can easily understand the format and structure of the output by reviewing the resources and methods available, and also by using the built-in mocking service to see example outputs. When you're ready to implement the API in your project, you can quickly build client applications from the API by leveraging the auto-generated code snippets and connectors in Anypoint Exchange. Then you can go into Conformance Status tab and check if the API specification meets the standards set by your security team. Exchange also provides you with the tools to securely and quickly get access to an API. You can simply hit the Request Access button and trigger the access approval flow. Once you have the credentials, you can monitor your usage in My Applications view. Anypoint Exchange also helps.
All right, so that provided a very high-level overview of some of the key use cases and functionality that Exchange serves and provides. And as mentioned in the video, Anypoint Exchange today serves as the marketplace of reusable assets. It really starts with a simple catalog of MuleSoft-provided assets that customers can then readily use to jumpstart their integration journeys. And as kind of was highlighted in that video, there's really two core sides to the Exchange narrative, being a marketplace, publication and consumption. As developers build their integrations, more assets become available for other developers to then discover, learn, and use those components. This creates a virtuous cycle of exchange between the producer and the consumer, resulting in savings through reuse and boosting innovation through these new ideas. To break it down a little bit further, Anypoint Exchange's capabilities can be grouped into three main categories. The first area of investment is asset production. You can publish assets via various sources to Exchange, and the most common ways to do this are using the Maven facade interface through our IDEs, the Exchange API, or directly through the Exchange UI. Once published, you can enhance the quality of the asset by adding metadata, including documentation, tags, or categories and custom fields, as well as manage the lifecycle state and conformance status of the asset, as you did see in that video. Second, we have asset consumption capabilities. And the consumption journey really begins with search and discovery. If you're logged into Anypoint Exchange, you can intuitively search for assets in your catalog by browsing through the home page, applying various filters, or entering very specific search queries. From here, you can navigate to the asset portal page and test it using the mocking service, download the asset itself, or share it with other users within your organization. You can also import assets from Exchange in Studio or Designer to further accelerate the integration journey from that point of need itself. And finally, as represented at the bottom, we have platform-level capabilities. While these are capabilities for internal to MuleSoft users, they do provide a lot of value to developers because it allows us to support a set of diverse asset types and provide various coherent and consistent UI experiences across the platform, thus making the overall user experience a lot more delightful. And we're just scratching the surface with those capabilities. Publication and consumption does sit at the first level of interaction that you can have with Exchange. As we dive deeper, functionalities such as asset storage, access management, discoverability, and search help users better utilize the offered capabilities. We have a mature search engine implementation to help you quickly and easily find the assets you're looking for. And we've done a lot of work on improving the search relevance so that the assets that are most relevant to your specific journey do appear at the top. The asset details page helps you learn more about the API and how to use it, as well as the different versions and their unique functionality that's offered. And other key functionalities include governance, approval workflows, asset monitoring, seamless publication processes, among several other things. The catalog is also continuously scaling, thus provide developers with a rich and diverse set of supported asset types. Exchange's capabilities are tailored towards 4 specific personas, broken down by the production and consumption side of things. On both sides, we have a developer and an admin, as you can see in this chart. On the production side, our developers focused on publishing assets and creating reusable building blocks for other teams. This user is actively involved in actually creating the asset, whether it be from the Exchange UI or from other sources. The production side admin is involved in the management, housekeeping, and quality of assets in his or her organization. They really care about the quality of the asset and want to ensure that each API that's produced is up to the organization's standards so that the end consumer can easily find and use the asset. Now on the consumption side, we once again have a developer and a marketplace admin. But the developer here is the user who will be consuming the asset, and they might be doing this by downloading and testing it, sharing the asset to other users in the organization, or reusing those APIs in their workflows, whether that be in different IDE products, at runtime, in the management plane, or in the design center. The marketplace admin on this side of the spectrum wants to identify top engaged assets so that they can promote best practices. Within each user, there are different permission sets that can be allocated. This will help the admin curate the level of access each user in the organization has, which then dictates the types of actions that a user can take within the catalog. For example, you might have viewer level permissions, or you might have full edit and design level permissions. The assets that Exchange provides are accessible from several, as you can see in this chart, such as Anypoint Studio, the manager, runtime manager, or design center. This high-level architecture diagram helps better contextualize Exchange with regards to the rest of Anypoint platform. It also highlights the key user journeys that are supported and frequented by developers. So starting on the left, you can see that Exchange developers are publishing assets from 4 key sources: the UI itself, Studio, Designer, or our new IDE, Anypoint Code Builder. And you can do this from several subsources as well. So we have the Exchange API, which is continuously being updated with new functionality. You can do that via the Maven facade interface or through the Anypoint CLI. You can also manage assets via Experience Hub or API Manager. Each of these products and tools has a way of interacting with the Exchange catalog from within the products itself. So let's step back and kind of understand what that means. Let's imagine a scenario where you're a developer working on your integration flow within Anypoint Code Builder. You want to identify a connector that matches your current needs and utilize it in your integration journey. You have the ability to search through your Exchange catalog without leaving the Anypoint Code Builder user interface. You can do this by pulling up the Search within Exchange pop-up component, view details regarding various connectors, select the one that best is suited to your journey, and import it within your flow. Support like this makes it even easier to reuse assets and empowers the developer with efficiency, which is the primary goal of Exchange. On the bottom, we have identified a few internal user journeys, all of which are tailored towards managing metrics of assets and producing new asset types. This is important because it is how the catalog's core functionality scales and grows. Support of new asset types, for example, the support of the latest version of async APIs, is important as it keeps us up to par with industry standards and serve the diverse range of developer needs. Here you can see a list of assets that are currently supported in Exchange. We have three main groups: APIs, integration assets, and automation assets. And in collection, we support over 25 types of reusable assets. Anypoint Exchange hosts APIs that developers can explore and consume and leverage repeatedly. We launched a new console for GraphQL recently and are also working to support the latest versions of async APIs that is in line with the event-driven architecture standards. Specifically regarding integration assets, our most common ones are connectors, examples, and templates. To briefly define those asset types, connectors provide the means for developers to easily integrate various systems into their Mule applications. Templates are the pre-built flows that address use cases or business processes and serve as a starting point for quickly building and customizing your integrations. And examples actually demonstrate how to implement those specific integration scenarios. There are a wide variety of these MuleSoft provided assets as well, primarily including bundles of templates, examples, and connectors, and these are called accelerators. And those are tailored towards specific business use cases and industries that are super easy to tap into and utilize. Given all of this, it's very apparent that Exchange is designed to promote reusability, and our customers care about reuse. In fact, that is one of the key differentiating factors between our API catalog and various other market offerings. Not only do our customers value the concept of reusability, as you can see from this slide, they also want to understand current data on reuse. This information is important to them because it helps them understand where and how their APIs are being engaged with. This can help them better design valuable and helpful APIs moving forward. So how is reuse actually defined? In some sense, reusability is the potential a component has to be reused, whereas reuse itself is a true repeated usage of that specific component. Other industry definitions include Gartner's, which is an application development methodology that catalogs and makes available various components so that they're able to be incorporated into other applications. Or we can also think of reuse as the ability of an application to be used more than once without change into a new system. In some ways, reuse is higher when something is designed as solution agnostic, and the true power really lies in the ability of this overall application to be customized and extended on top of that baseline component. With all of that in mind, the concept of engagement, reusability, and usage tracking is not really unique to the enterprise IT space. In fact, we're quite familiar with it. We see it all around us in almost every application of tech that we interact with on a daily basis. Let's take the example of online marketplaces. Engagement here might be measured by the number of purchases made, or perhaps the number of recommendations given. You might also want to look at the number of producer uploads or buyer downloads or consumption actions for engagement as well there. Another interesting example is that of social networks. Engagement here might be tracked by the number of shares of a specific post, number of views, or number of likes. In principle, though, we care about 5 things when it comes to quantifying engagement and usage. And first, it's the essential action of actually defining active engagement. What actions qualify as true engagement with the product, or in our case, with the API? Next, we have to identify and define the relative importance of the various engagement actions. In our API example, we might want to understand how downloads compare to imports. Monitoring this engagement will help us create a good baseline and benchmark overall engagement and reusability across that baseline. And next, we can create a custom algorithm to analyze the various actions in context and relativity and compute an aggregate engagement metric. And finally, we can deliver these insights to the users, thus ultimately closing the feedback loop. Driving efficiency through reuse in totality is a pillar of Exchange's core value proposition. Reusable pre-built assets help jumpstart the developer journey. And as we discussed at the beginning of this presentation, the concept of reusability really drives those network effects of the platform, thus making not only you, but also your end users more efficient. Here are 3 key tangible benefits of this concept in practice. First, the hundreds of connectors and pre-built templates offered by MuleSoft can be used to jumpstart the integration journey at any point of need. And second, Exchange is really that centralized hub for all of this content, both for assets created by your organization, as well as those that are provided by MuleSoft itself and our various partners. And all of that can be accessed from that one central point. This, along with adherence to governance and lifecycle management, ensures security and high quality, and these quality assets can also be shared within users across and internally of your business group. This overall reduces time to market. And finally, this new feature that we will dive into next will help developers understand usage data, which closes that overall feedback loop. So with that, let's take a look at the new Anypoint Exchange feature that actually drives information on reuse. This feature provides new data-driven insights into how an asset is being used. The data also reflects asset reusability, ultimately helping developers be more efficient and productive in their flow of work. Developer productivity stems from 1. Easily discovering and reusing relevant assets with confidence, and 2. Understanding where and how assets are being used so you can make informed decisions. Reuse is a big component of developer productivity, and driving efficient practices through reuse is a core pillar of Exchange's value proposition. By providing quantifiable information on engagement and usage at a per asset level, customers now have fundamental insights into reusability. To view the dashboard, click the Asset Engagement tab on the left sidebar of the Exchange homepage. This dashboard, which can be viewed by users with the administrator role, displays metrics for up to 50 assets in a specified organization for a period of either the last 7, 30, or 90 days. The admin can specify the asset type, either REST APIs or API spec fragments, the number of organizations, as well as the time period that they want to view metrics. Today, as you can see here, metrics are provided for 2 asset types. Each line on the table represents an asset in your organization, along with key information about the API, such as the API name, the date it was created on and updated, and engagement metrics. As you can see here, the Notifications API has an engagement score of 23%. You can also see that the asset was downloaded 7 times, imported in API Designer 85 times, and imported in Studio 50 times. 2 assets are dependent on this API, and it has 2 contracts. You can also see similar information for additional APIs on this table. The asset engagement score percentage seen here is a composite metric that can be used to measure the relative usage of an asset. A custom algorithm takes into account the various consumption actions, including downloads, imports, contracts, and dependents, to compute the overall asset engagement score. This feature also lets you view engagement metrics at the asset version level. By clicking on the asset link of the Notifications API, I can navigate to the Asset Version Engagement tab in the API portal page to see these additional metrics. This view shows admins and asset owners how much a specific version contributes to the overall asset's engagement score. It can also help users better understand the performance and stickiness of specific asset versions. As you can see here, this API has 2 major versions. 86% of the API's overall engagement is reflective of version 2's usage, while 14% of the overall asset's engagement score is reflective of version 1's usage. You can also see a further breakdown of metrics such as downloads, imports, and overall engagement contribution at more granular version levels. Today, this new feature is available for users with the Exchange admin role as well as asset owners with the Exchange contributor permission role. In the near future, we are working on providing metrics for additional asset types to provide users with a more holistic view of reuse.
So, Rhea, I think we have 3 questions, so this would be the right place to answer them. So I will read out the questions in the order of on the way we have received. First one is from Miguel. How does ACM fit into the exchange picture?
Yeah, that's a good question. So actually, we have There's a new product called Anypoint Experience Hub, and there's a lot of transition happening from ACM to Anypoint Experience Hub. But essentially, it's a more customer-facing, like personalized portal aspect for you to interact with all of these different offerings. And Exchange is basically a repository that sits in that view.
Okay, thank you. We have a second one which came from Raju. Can you please share any ways to automate Exchange documentation if there are a large number of APIs in an enterprise?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good question. Today, we don't have API documentation automated like mechanisms in place, but we do have a list of recommendations and best practices for the documentation, and that can be used to create different templates. I'm happy to send that out after this call.
Sure. So once we have that, I will add that as well on the YouTube channel. Thank you. This third question is from Henry Carlson. Many of the asset types are not supported on PCE. Is there a roadmap for Exchange on PCE so we can get an idea of when asset types can be available on PC?
Yeah, definitely. I can talk to the PCE team and their product team as well to get a better understanding of what their plans are from that perspective and share that out as well.
Okay. Yeah, we can continue. Yeah, thanks.
Perfect. Cool. So as you kind of got from that demo, this feature is already available and it can be accessed from the left navigation menu on the Exchange homepage. And I think one thing to kind of reemphasize and call out is that the way this data is calculated is really in line with those principles behind engagement that we were talking about a little bit ago. The drivers behind this asset engagement score are the various consumption actions that a user is making across the various points of the platform. And that score then reflects the overall engagement and reusability of the asset as a portion of the total assets in the customer reorganization. Today, this data is provided for REST APIs and API spec fragments. And you can also, once again, view this information, specific API versions, to better contextualize how one version might contribute to the overall engagement of the total assets if that asset has multiple versions. What's really exciting is that we're launching engagement metrics for 3 new asset types in the first half of this year: connectors, examples, and templates. This will really help drive a deeper understanding of integration asset reusability. Support for these asset types is highly requested, as a core purpose of some of these asset types is providing those shortcuts in the developer journey. So keep a lookout for this feature. We'll also send out docs updates and things like that to kind of make you aware of the feature and details. A big question that you might be thinking of is how can this information actually be used? So in short, the usage and engagement data is extremely valuable in helping you better manage your catalog and drive value to the end consumers. The first step in realizing this goal is understanding the baseline of engagement. And that is achieved through the dashboard as shown in the demo. Next, you want to improve the overall quality of the assets, and you can do this by adding asset icons and a name that is easy to understand and reflects the purpose of the asset. This will also make it easier for users to quickly find the asset through the search component. And next, you want to educate users on how to use the asset, which can be done by adding detailed asset documentation. And once again, there are several best practices that we recommend here, which can help you achieve that goal. Another part of improving discoverability and reusability is adding asset metadata through tags, categories, and custom fields. You can also ensure proper catalog hygiene by updating assets as they move through the software development lifecycle, marking assets and specific versions that are no longer relevant as deprecated, and promoting stable and conformant versions by using the right tags. All of these steps are really easy to take and can be done right through the API portal page, and also can help make your catalog more robust. So as you can see, reusability and usage is very much tied with API quality. So looking forward this year, we have quite a few exciting releases on the radar. In addition to launching engagement metrics for connectors, examples, and templates, We are also working on launching recommendations for Exchange users based on that data. And this will really help drive the business value of that feature by helping you understand what you can do and what you should do based on your engagement score. In essence, this new feature, which will be launched towards the latter half of this year, will help you implement the various steps mentioned on the previous slide. And other key callouts for things that are launching this year, we're adding a feature to make it possible for client app owners to add any additional owners. So whether it's an individual or a team from the My Application page on Exchange. And today we do have full feature parity between our two search experiences. So we're going to be working on deprecating the legacy search experience. And very briefly, I can take a quick look at what was recently released. So about a year ago, we released a new feature reflecting Java 17 compatibility for connectors. So basically on the asset version page, you can now see the Java compatible version as well. And in November, we released a new custom fields metadata filter that can help you enhance your search and discoverability journeys. And the custom field is a metadata value that can be added via the Exchange API for your assets. And this also is really helpful when it comes to overall engagement and usage of your APIs. So with that, I'd love to stay in touch with the community, would greatly appreciate any feedback you have, and also would love to stay in touch as we're iterating on various features that are going to be launching over the next couple of months. That's about all I had today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ria. That was an amazing session. So I have one comment from Alan Daly. He says, "We find the use of public exchange promotes greater usage outside of our business." That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Uh, if you have any more questions, feel free to use the Q&A menu and ask right now. Otherwise, I think after this session, I'll upload the materials and also the meetup video, so you should be able to find them on the MuleSoft YouTube English channel. Um, Along with I think there's one more material which was requested, Ria, so I think I'll upload that as well. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think with this, we should be able to close this now. Thank you, Ria, so much. Thanks, Ashton.
Thank you very much. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for joining.